I welcome you all to day 9. Today's topic is around letting go, and I want to share a story as we kick off today's session. A long time ago, there were two Buddhist monks who were walking down the village to the countryside, and they came upon a river, and the river was in high tide. It was flooding, and they had to cross the river. And so they started to measure, and they say that was about waist deep. And they said, okay, we can do this. And as they were preparing to cross the river, they noticed a frail young lady sitting on the side and very worried. And she requested if these monks could help her to cross the river. But she was obviously very petite and she could not do it by herself. So one of the monks said, come on, get onto my shoulder. And so he kneels down and she gets onto the shoulder. So he picks her up, and the two monks and the lady cross the river. So they get to the other side of the river, and the monk drops the lady, and the two monks continue their pilgrimage. About an hour passes, and suddenly the one monk asks the other, did you know that our precept is we don't touch women? Not only did you not touch a woman, you actually carried her on your shoulder. And there's a long silence. And the monk replies back, I dropped that woman from my shoulder an hour ago, and you are still carrying her in your head. So friends, ask yourself this question. How many things are you carrying? Are you sitting under the weight of? Are you feeling the burden of that have long gone? So as I observe the world today, as we come to this grinding halt, thanks to COVID-19, I can't help but notice that we've been coming to this crossroad. So, for a long, long time, I've always felt that the way humanity is carrying itself, the way we are going about doing normal life is not sustainable. That I felt that we were at the crossroad. We were going to come to the crossroad where we have to make this very radical decision, which way we're going to go. But then you know what? Every time I felt like we were coming to that point, the crossroad would be that much further. Going up the mountain, I felt like we were going to be there. The crossroad would be that much further. Going around the tree, the crossroad is still not there. It's still a little bit further, a little further, a little further. And then once we got used to it, once I kind of sort of wondering whether it's even going to happen or not, bam, we turn around a corner and there we are, locked in indefinitely, can't meet people, can't do our normal things. Even grocery shopping the other day when I went out, I go out once in about 10 days. It is such an act of, it's a preparation. I have to be so careful about how I prepare to go out, do the shopping, then how I bring all of those things into the thing. And as I interface with the people at the store, poor things, they are kind of watching out for themselves. They are there, they're serving, but they're also scared. So we are at that juncture now where we have to look at what are we going to take? Which path are we going to take? The old, same old, or is it going to be something different? And the second observation that I've seen in this process is that humanity was going down a particular path already. For example, social, economic, political, educational, etc. So if you think of, for example, the education system right now, more and more online classes. And now, bam, as this thing has happened, everybody is going further and basically taking all their classes online. If you look at entertainment, if you look at sports, less in the arena, more on TV. If you look at commerce, e-commerce, if you look at shopping, things like Flipkart and Amazon and the likes. If you look at public life, is becoming more and more private. We're spending more and more times indoor. So the trajectory that humanity was already slowly going down on seems like this epidemic has further accelerated it. So then it begs the question, once this curfew is lifted, once we get out of this lockdown, are we going to go back to the same old? I'm not even talking about consciousness. I'm just talking about the way we interact, the way we connect, the way we engage with each other, with businesses, with society, etc. Perhaps not. Most likely not. You know, in my life, there's been two pivotal moments where life has changed on one day forever. Number one, 9/11. So that was another example of how it was one episode that we thought that the planes are going to be down, airports are closed, security is very high, the government is prying into our personal matters, into our computers, into our telephone calls, into our chat messages. But guess what? 9/11 is long gone, 19 years ago, but some of those systems, some of those changes in our society have been cemented. So then I ask you the question, would we have to fight to reclaim some of our ways of being? And I'm talking about the nice ways of being, like, for example, the hugs and the handshakes. Right now, we're not allowed to do hugs and handshakes. Would we have to fight for our rights to reclaim that which we wish to continue when we get back into the regular life outside of this curfew? Something for you to ponder on. So now, as we dive into the meditation, before we go drop into the meditation, I want you to drop into your bodies. And so today, I ask that you put your arms out, making exactly what you're seeing on the screen here. Your upper arms are perpendicular, and your lower arms are parallel to your body, right? And so as you're breathing out, I want you to bring your arms together as close to each other, the elbows as far as possible touching each other. And then as you come close breathing out, I want you to raise it by 1 inch, feeling the extra squeeze in your chest. So breathing in, take it back to that goalpost position. Let's do this a couple more times. So as you're breathing out, squeeze in as far possible, raise 1 inch, and you're breathing in, bring your arms back. One last time. Squeeze as you're breathing out, raise, and then bring back here. Now, as you bring your arms down, you can close your eyes if you like. You can keep them open if you like. And we're going to drop into a meditation on letting go. Taking some deep, comfortable breaths. Breathing into your belly. And releasing, letting go of any tension in the body. This gift of breath is something that we don't want to take for granted. Because many people right now are not able to breathe freely without some sort of external help. And some of us also may not be able to breathe easy in the future should we get affected, which is a reality. So let's just face it. So while it is possible, let us cherish this gift of breath, letting it flow in and out of the body, creating a deep state of relaxation. As you're creating the state of relaxation, you're dropping into silence. You're opening up to silence. You're befriending silence. And as you learn to take your attention within, you're cultivating a muscle. And this muscle will serve you when you need it the most. When you feel like you've been knocked off center. When you feel like you've been thrown off balance. These moments of quietness, this training of silence is going to be your default neural network, which means after some practice, you don't have to try to be peaceful and silent. You naturally are. Today, I ask that you relinquish everything, let it all go. Even those things that you have strived for attaining your entire life. The Buddha said, nothing is to be clung on to as I, me, or mine. That's the essence of all of Buddhist wisdom. So now, relinquish anything that binds you, whether it's your fantasies, your attitudes that you call as mine, any assumptions, your views of the world, some roles that you've gotten very good at. And even beliefs and ideals. With each passing breath, let it all go. It's not necessarily one more task to perform. It is simply what occurs when you're not clinging. A direct expression of wisdom arising in a moment of experience. It's very simple. When you feel like you're being dragged, just let go of the leash. When you feel the pain of grasping and understanding on holding on as the cause of your suffering, the solution is simple. Let it go. Well, then that invites this profound question. What can you claim authentically as your own? What can you claim authentically as your own? As you sift through the impermanence, conditioned character of all material and mental processes, you eliminate perceptions, sensory experience, and material things as possessions. On the surface, you may think I'm asking you to give up everything. But when you do this practice, you will slowly begin to realize there is actually nothing possessed, nothing I can truly cling on to, hold on to, take with me. And therefore, there's really nothing one has to give up. The great abandonment is to let go of the concept of ownership. Letting go in meditation is the relinquishment that involves no loss. When you recognize impermanence, you will realize the pure and ungraspable nature of things. You'll understand the basic facts about things, that it cannot be truly owned by me. And when you let go of that clinging, then there is no fear. Because remember, fear is the perception of something that you're going to lose. So when you drop into pure awareness, there is lightness. And there is freedom. Notice how you're feeling right now. It may be an extraordinary delight that surpasses all temporary pleasures. And from this delight, any residual fear is softened. Any tendency to go back again to grasping reduces. The realization that nothing can actually be possessed. And in this process, you may feel you have come home. Home where the heart is. You may notice the gift of freedom. The freedom from fear. The freedom from limited consciousness. The freedom from physicality in the physical dimension to the unlimited dimension of consciousness. And from this unlimited space, from an open heart, from a broad intellect, ask yourself this question. What do I really want in life? What do I really want in life? Once you have clarity, you're able to manifest what you want. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And wherever your energy flows, that will grow. So it becomes very important for us to create this state of freedom, stillness, clarity in silence. And ask ourselves, what truly matters in life? So just whenever you're ready, at your own pace, let's come back into this virtual gathering around the well, and I'd like for you to share your responses in the chat window. What do you really want in life? Okay, I'm seeing answers. I want freedom from fear in life. Can you please say hello to my 4-year-old son, Yash? Hello, Yash. I'm waving at you as well. Yeah, no, it's just not a video. We are here live, my friends. So once Madhuri says happiness, Joe says peace of mind. Still don't know, Gurpreet, that's okay. Gurpreet, the way that I look at it is, you see, when we create this stillness, the first time you're going to ask yourself this question, it's going to be a broad, some sort of an orb. You may not have an exact answer. But the more you sit with that question, what happens over a period of time is you start honing in. You start zeroing in on the answer that you're meant to find. And the process, there is no substitute for it. You have to find what matters most to you. Your best friend, if you had a twin brother or sister, your mother, your neighbor, nobody can tell you this. You have to make this effort. And the way you do that is by sitting in silence and asking yourself this question and waiting for the answer to arise. And it will do so at the right time. So let's see. As I'm reading these other responses, please go ahead and formulate your questions, and you can put it into the separate Q&A window that you will see on the bottom of your screen, perhaps. So the love, self-acceptance, beautiful. Yes, Ranjani says, I feel deep gratitude. Great. Live my calling and give back to the world. Fantastic, Nosheen. Sandra says, peace of mind, no worry. Jonathan says, lightness of being and love. Atsi says, my eldest son's name is Yash. Yes, we already addressed that, I think. Oh, okay, we have 2 Yashas. Okay, I see what you mean. And he's very happy. That's good. Saida says, to be one with God. Amen. Mukul says, need to get thoughts to safe zone. Yes, and that's the process. That's why we're here, Mukul. I hope this is helping, and I hope today we're in day 9, and hopefully your transition from fear to freedom is already obvious to you. I'm seeing many people, by the way, thank you for sending me text messages and emails later. I've heard people say that they are sleeping better since we started this series. What a gift right there. We don't need anything else. If this is the takeaway from this session, from this series, awesome. If you're able to sleep well, that's a gift. Thank you. And need to get thoughts to safe zone. Yes, we said that. Amina wants to be able to serve the world's children. Yes, Amina, I'm going to join you in that process. So I love to work with children, especially during the summer. As you all know, I do summer camps in different parts of the world. And this summer, everything has been canceled. So we have the gift of this virtual gathering, this virtual camp. Lisa says, deep self-love and more love for others. Yes, to fulfill my reason. I'm here to fulfill. Yes, yes, to get that clarity on what is that reason you're here to fulfill. That's the thing. Internal calm and peace at all times. Yes, Vanshika, take it with you. Remember, this is an exercise, this is just the training. Remember, we talked about the default neural network. So we are preparing this so that when you keep going back to this practice, not just when the 45 minutes you're with me, but go back to this practice, because I've given you little tips every day how to do it. And by now you should be getting better at it. When you practice, remember what I said at the beginning of the meditation, it will serve you when you need it the most. So your default network, instead of being one of fear, will be one of freedom, will be one of lightness. So you go into that natural state of peace. You know that you got to drop it. You take in the breath, you go within yourself, because you know that's where your sanctuary is. Your sanctuary is not on the buildings, the walls, and anything else, your bank account, etc. Okay, so good. Yes. Finding purpose is what you want. That's great. Live freely and fearlessly, Saxony. Thank you for that. All right. So now I'm going to jump into the Q&A and see what kind of things that you have there. Okay. So I'm seeing comments there as well. Margarita is saying loving relationships with family and friends. Maureen is saying love of family, yet it not returned. And that's the point, Maureen. You remember my story from yesterday, what I was sharing with you. What goes around comes around its own way, but not necessarily from those people. So you don't do it. I was talking about the smile example, the story I shared with you. You know how you need to keep doing it, because what you're doing could change people's lives. What you're doing could make somebody's day, could save somebody. And you have to do it regardless of whether you have accolades, appreciation, acknowledgement. You just do it for the sake of doing it, because that's your gift. And so where does that come from? I told you yesterday, you can only pour what's in your cup. So it comes from me taking time every day, such as this, such as at the beginning of the day, such as at the end of the day when you fall asleep, to fill yourself. So when you serve from that place, you don't wait for it to be returned. So it comes from pure love. And I extend that word. You said love of family. This world is our family. You know, 2 people today reached out to me and says, Jay, why don't you charge something, even $1? We'd be happy to give it to you so you can, make something out of it. And there's about 70 people or so between the YouTube and this. And my response was, you know what? This is the time for all of us to show radical acts of generosity. These are unusual times. So these are those times that we have to dig deep into our soul and say, what is that gift? What is it that I can serve? What is it that I can share? What is it that I can offer without the need for it to be returned? And I'm offering it to the world, global family, YouTube, a number of you, millions of you, if you so choose, are welcome to take this gift. Because these are those times when we set the example of how we can live in a world that's not transactional, where I don't need to get something from you to be able to share with you, to be able to make you feel like you matter, make you feel like you're cared for, make you feel like your piece is important to me, because it's not your piece, it's not just your caring, it is our existence. Remember what I said earlier in the series, we are one big organism in this world. All species are like cells. We human species are just one of the whole part of this big organism that we call life on this one home, one planet that we call Mother Earth. So as I go out to take care of you, and then further on, hopefully you guys will pay it forward and you guys will go spread the peace in your communities, in your homes, and through your own live streams, what have you. What we're doing is we are creating a network of wellness for all of us to thrive in. So folks, let this be an inspiration for you to please go reach out and say, what is that gift? And as Oprah Winfrey said, whether it is cleaning toilets or playing symphonies, it doesn't matter. Find that one thing that you can do that you're supremely qualified for. This is what I talk about in my purpose workshops. Find that one thing that you're supremely qualified for and go offer it. And this is the time to do it with radical generosity. Because we need a new world order. And let us start with our showing up in the world. Thank you. I'm seeing thunderous applause. Yes, don't just applaud to me. Please go out and do your thing. Go share your gifts. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of people from YouTube saying hello. Thank you for all of that. Lakshmi, Manjeet, etc. The joy that comes from living. Okay, there's another question here. How to share the concept of letting go with someone who is holding on intensely? Well, the first thing I tell you, Sandra, is when you become a living example of letting go. And this is a thing I'm going to share with you, because a bunch of you said today that you have kids who are listening to it with you. There's at least 3 of you I know, and there may be more I don't know. So I want to share with you something that I talk about in my summer camps, because my camps, I bring in parents into my camps as well. And I say, okay, we're going to spend a week together. So we spend, it's a residential camp. So, they come there, they live there for 1 week with me. So they wake up and they do activities, we eat together, we play together, we sleep together, meaning in the same premises, right? In the retreat place. And I tell them, when you walk away from this, it is going to be so important for each of you parents, and I'm saying this as an example here, that you embody the values that we are talking about at this retreat, that we practice, that we deliberated at this retreat. Why? Because 80% of what children learn comes from what they see, not what they hear. So not what's coming out of your mouth, but what's coming out through your embodiment. So Sandra, so I ask that you deploy, and you use the same concept. 80% of all of us, we're all children in some regard. We're all learning continuously through life. It comes from what we see. So when you become an embodiment of letting go, that's going to be your greatest, most, in your words, intense message that you can share with somebody. Okay. So I see another question here. Does zodiac signs, personality, or astrology really is a true reflection into human life? Okay, that's a great question. So now let me answer this, Manjeet, in this way. So if you think about it, we are a creation of space, water, earth, fire, and air, right? The elements. We did the meditation on elements. You go back and review it if you don't remember it. So we are, our bodies, our brains, right? We are basically, we constitute these 5 elements. Now, these 5 elements are also in all of the rest of Mother Nature, the earth, the sea, the water, the sky, the birds, everything. Now, if you notice the influence of other planets, Jupiter, Saturn, the moon, the sun, etc., these other celestial bodies, let's call them, they have a predominant effect on the ebb and flow of, for example, the water, as what we call tides. Now, if the planetary systems are having a visible effect on our world as we see it, obviously they're having an effect on my body. So there is a deep science that our sages and saints have figured this out for thousands of years of research, and they've postulated these concepts that said that when the planetary alignment is in this particular formation, it will have a certain impact, force on your body and your brain, and will urge you or will compel you to make choices that are probably in a certain regard than at other times. So when they tie that with your own chronology, which is they ask you for your date, time, and birthplace, the birth time and exact moment and all of that, they have basically, they fit you into the cosmic scheme of things and its cosmic time scale and say, you are governed by certain forces, which is, we can see around us, which is true. There's a magnetic flux that is happening that is influencing all of us. So yes, there's a deep science. Now, I have a slightly different take on it. Yes, by default, when all else is equal, the position of the stars and the planetary systems has an influence on how we behave. But take it one step further. I say consciousness, focused attention, intention actually can override that. So what I'm trying to say is you are a master of your fate more than anything else out there. If you have trained to hone your thought processes, concentrate your mind, focus your attention like we are practicing, like some of us are practicing for a long, long time, so much so that I would argue, I'm going to make a big statement here, that you know how people read your palms? I would argue with intention, you can actually change the lines on your palm. Such is the power of concentrated attention. Such is the power of willpower. So please don't keep depending on somebody else to read your horoscope. You go create your horoscope. I am creating mine for sure. I've never been to a fortune teller astrology, even though I come from a country which, rests on this very, very ancient philosophy. Yes, I mean, there's truth to it. But like I said, there is a greater truth to it that my teachers have taught me, that more ancient philosophies have taught me, which is the power of intention. Okay, so let's see. Is there any, I think I've answered everything else. Yes, I think I've answered all the questions. We've come to the end of our time, so I don't see anything else. So thank you all for this lively, wonderful conversation. I do appreciate all this enthusiasm, these great questions, keeps me inspired, gives me a chance to share some things that I've been thinking about. So we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow on the same channel. Until then, be well.